they're driving away, and a Fortis, call it, Fortis policeman came on the scene. This is about 7 miles outside of Fortis.
Okay.
Now, he came to answer the radio call, and he gives chase in the direction of the Sumlands that they're going. Because there's been gunfire and cars being stolen and a jailbreak. So it's out there. Everyone keep your eyes open. Now, he's able to stop them, okay?
Yep.
He pulls them over. But what happens is Ruth, when he gets out of his car, Ruth just rams his vehicle a couple of times with their car and then drives away.
She's running into the cops now?
Yeah, she's bashing into cops while she's driving. So apparently, at this point, another car enters the thing. Somebody hits another car. They hit a car. Then that car careens into another car, and then another police car is coming, and that car gets hit. It turns into like a 70s cop show pile up at this point. Just wee at the end of the scene.
Yeah, it's the town.
Like the dying siren.
Yeah.
That's all you hear.
As the light just stops.
Yeah.
Still shining, just not moving.
Yeah. It's not moving anymore. Just blue.
Yeah.
So at that time, somehow, I don't know if he's trying to get out of a disabled car is probably the thing. He's trying to run rather than fight, I guess.
Right.
In the song, they did say that, it's destiny and all this type of shit.
Right.
So, yeah, that's what is how
That's what you're born for.
It's how he makes his final stand. That's one of the things.
Yeah.
Making his final stand. In this stand, though, they subdue him and arrest him and Ruth. They get them both.
Kill him.
No, nobody got killed in this. You might be saying, no one's been murdered yet.
Yeah.
Is it this murder in California? Wait for it.
Everybody's living through it?
Wait for it. Let's just say that.
Did the people that stopped, they survived too?
Well, yeah, we'll talk all about it here.
Shit.
So, they also arrested they arrested Thurman Moore as well, because he was a gunshot a gunshot wound in his neck, hiding in the woods, so he wasn't going to get very far. They get him. The police were alerted about a wrecked car in a ditch on Highway 167. The cops said that they couldn't find Jackie Moore, though, the other one who's shot in the head. They're like, can't be that hard to find an escaped criminal who's shot in the head. And apparently it is. Like I said, he's gone for weeks. He also shot, though, George H. Smith of Little Rock is the guy he shot in the hip when he and his wife were because he had Ruth wave them down, hey, help us, and then they pulled over and he robbed them and fucking shot him in the hip while she jumped in their car and ran away there. So they chased the car, forced it to a stop at 2:45 p.m. This sort of 10 o'clock at night. They've been out since.
Shit.
So that's not a bad run. I mean, that's shit. They got 15 hours out of this bad boy. They said that he had been working, Sumlin, by the way, had been working in Magnolia under an assumed name. That's how, and then he got arrested for drugs and robbery, and then they found out who he was. So the other inmate is hospitalized. Thurman Moore Jr. is in custody, hospitalized for gunshot wounds. They're searching for Jackie Moore, though. That's the one they can't find. They're looking everywhere for him. They have not. They said he hadn't been seen since he was shot in the head and he took off.
Boy,
So they're thinking he's dead in a field later or something. They find him 5 months later living in Michigan. He got shot in the head while escaping and fucking lived and somehow got to another place.
A very far place.
That's amazing.
Michigan
several
is
states
so far
away. That's where he's from. He's from Michigan. So several
5 months,
states
maybe
away.
He walked for 5 months?
I don't know. Yeah, who picked him up with a gunshot wound and said, oh, sure, I won't call the police. You have a hole in your head. Yeah, something's going on.
He had a 5-month headache for sure, right?
Yeah. If someone has a gunshot wound in their head and they don't want the police called, something happened. They're up to something. I would be concerned with that shit.
Don't be around that person.
No, I would say not. Somehow, though, he did that. Everybody else, though, like I said, the two that weren't in the car, the escapees, they were rounded up quickly in town, right outside the jail. They didn't last very long. They went and hid behind a dumpster and this is great, right? Any cigarette butts on the ground? This is phenomenal. I love being out. The freedom. That's the freedom that you feel as they're hiding behind a dark dumpster.
Yeah.
So they captured Donald Lee Biddle at a Magnolia residence, and Briggs was the other one's last name, and he was apprehended as he walked along a highway.
Wow.
He just walked along a main highway, like not thinking they would pick him up there. What a dipshit. Is he the dumbest?
Walking down the interstate?
Yeah, at least the other guy went to a house. At least
Right.
he's in a house. I mean, I'm sure it was his parents' house or somewhere that they knew to find him. But this guy's walking down the most open road you can.
I mean, I can understand it because it's got to go somewhere, right?
No shit, man.
That just doesn't dead end somewhere. That's a road somewhere.
Something is going on. So they take the Sumlins into custody. The Fortis policeman here takes them into custody. Now, they look in Ruth's purse, obviously. They're looking through it for weapons when they collect them. She has a knife in her purse.
Yeah.
The knife has some blood on it, too.
Uh-oh.
So there's like some dried blood on it. So they're like, interesting. There's a knife with blood on it. That's something. We'll definitely take this away from her because it's a weapon, but that's something to look into. They also found J.Y.Cooper's billfold that was in his wallet there. And they also find a letter in a sealed envelope found in her purse that was addressed to her mother.
Yeah.
Okay. It's now this is all seized, obviously, with her purse when she's arrested here. They've been shooting and bashing into police cars and shit. So, any kind of weapons they're going to take away. Now, neither the policeman who arrested her or the chief of the Fortis Police Department ever inventoried the purse.
Not one.
They didn't go through. They have these prisoners and didn't go through what the fuck they were on them after they searched them. They didn't inventory the purse. They were just like, take the weapens out. Cool.
She can have that when this is over.
That is wild. More on the letter in a minute, by the way, because the letter's wild, Jimmy.
Is it fascinating?
Now, it's fascinating. Yeah, I would say. So she remained, Ruth does, in the custody of the Fortis police until she was transferred to the custody of the Dallas County Sheriff. This is Dallas County, Arkansas.
Right.
Joe Pennington is his name, the Dallas County Sheriff, about daylight on November 25th, so the next day. Now, she remained there till about 7 p.m. when she is transferred to the Columbia County Jail. So they take her kind of day by day there. So at this point, they're also transporting Warren Sumlin in the same manner through the jails. The evening of the 25th, she's informed of her rights every time she gets somewhere. They tell you the rights are made. So any new cop that comes in contact with her, they have to read her rights and all that.
Smart, I guess.
And it's all documented that they did. I mean, who knows whether they did or not, but it's documented. She was read her rights at this time, and because she has to sign the sheet and all that shit. So she does that. She refused to make a statement when she got to the Columbia County Jail that evening. On Sunday, the 27th of November, the Columbia County Sheriff told Ruth that he's going to transfer her to the El Dorado Jail instead. Send her back another place. So he tells her that because he said that in the Columbia County Jail where they were, where the jailbreak took place, he doesn't have facilities for a female prisoner.
Oh.
It's like, I don't have like a separate thing for you. So
ladies around here just don't break the law. So
we got law-abiding Christian women down here. They don't break the law. And when they do, it's for a good reason, and we just kind of let it go.
It's either that or we just let their husband handle it in-house.
We find it charming when women commit crimes down here.
I think it's rather cute.
We think it's the way to do. It's it's an adorable thing to do. What I look for in a lady. So
they don't have a woman's jail.
No, they have no facilities for a woman in this jail.
It's not that they get away with everything. It's that they definitely don't get away with anything, and it's just handled in-house. I guarantee that's what it is. It's got to be.
It probably is. Jesus, that's disturbing. Back in the day like that. Yeah, no shit. So the sheriff and her both say the same thing, that's what he said. The sheriff also said he said she requested to stay near Warren also, and wanted to be near him so she could possibly I don't know if she could see him or what. She said she wanted to talk to him. She said the sheriff asked if she wanted to talk before they went to El Dorado. Not to her husband. Do you want to talk to me about what happened before I take you? She refused to talk again twice after being read her rights and everything. At some point here, she does ask for a lawyer. Okay, now apparently they stopped asking her any questions when she's asked about a lawyer.
Yeah.
She refused to talk with Dallas or Columbia or anything, but when she gets to El Dorado, she has a change of heart, apparently, here. I guess she realizes the case against her in the jailbreak is pretty strong. Like,
it's sturdy, yeah.
She didn't wear a mask. She came in. They know who she is. She got married there, for Christ's sake. They all know. They did paperwork with her name on it, like a lot.
Pretty familiar with her.
Pretty familiar with her. It's not this. Here's her description. They're like, it's Ruth.
Yeah.
Ruth Ruth, her. That's the one. So there's many witnesses telling the same story and everything else that we just described. So there we go. She decides, though, that she might want to talk, but not that night. She's like, we'll talk about it. So she's going to talk to the El Dorado police. Now, the thing she's going to talk to them about that they really want to talk to her about, because the jailbreak, they don't even need her testimony. We know what happened. There's 20 people saw it. That's not really a problem. But the day after we caught you, that Friday or that Saturday, there were some deer hunters out in the woods.
Right.
They were hunting around, and, you're looking at stuff, and what they found is pretty terrifying.
Yeah.
They found J.Y.Cooper's body out there, clothed only in socks and an undershirt, found out there, okay? Socks and an undershirt. This is in a wooded area off Calhoun Road, east of Magnolia. He had been shot through the temple, one shot, dead, through the temple. Then there is also the fact that and we'll just read from the court docs, and I'll tell you exactly what it was in a minute here, but his sexual organs had been mutilated.
What?
We'll talk about mutilated here in a second. So it's at this moment where both Warren and Ruth are held without bond now, because now there's a murder involved here. So they're held without bond, and they're going to talk about being charged with murder and everything else. Now, the medical examiner who performed the autopsy on Cooper said Cooper was killed by the gunshot wound. No alcohol was found in his bloodstream.
Not a drop.
Zero. She didn't get him to drink at all. So she just killed him. But she did some stuff before and after she killed him. His whole taint, Jimmy, from
asshole to nuts,
and beyond, from asshole to top of the dick is cut.
Oh, wow.
Open. Like, it's basically like a half-done gender reassignment surgery. Like,
shocking.
That's what it is. Like, there's an open, cut everything in half. The quote from the court docs, quote, the scrotum and its contents were absent.
Oh, no.
Gone. Dick cut open, taint cut open, nuts and fucking ball sack gone. Cut off.
Holy shit.
They never found the balls, Jimmy.
Oh boy.
Where are the balls?
Did she have them fed to animals?
Where are the balls, man?
Were they there at one point, or did she cut them off?
Oh, they were there. Everything's cut. This is all with a knife.
Clean cut.
It was opened.
Yeah.
It was cut open.
Yeah.
Shit was removed, and then the rest of the nutsack was cut off too, and his dick was cut open and mutilated.
And then castrated.
Holy
shit.
Before
or after the gunshot?
They think after.
Okay.
So he had type O blood, and the knife in Ruth's purse that was found had human blood on it. Once they tested, it's type O blood in her purse. Also, that letter that's in her purse, to her mother,
type O blood on it.
Want to know what that says? Oh, it's type. They don't need fucking blood for this letter.
Keep an eye out for UPS. They shipped you a scrotum.
You watch out. There's a scrotum in the mail.
Yeah,
you're gonna really need to that. I sent the balls separate though, because if they lost one of them, I really didn't want to. Got to have some of that.
I don't want to lose one, lose them both, kind of thing. I wanted you to get something.
So this is the letter part of it here, anyway. Quote. Hi, Mom. I'm sure there was, hey, Ma, nice. Yeah. Good to hope all is well. Hope Dad's doing good. Yeah. Aunt Margaret, okay? What are we talking about? Quote, Warren and me are on the run, just like Bonnie and Clyde, she says.
Oh, my gosh. She's a college student and says Warren and me.
Warren and me are on the run, just like Bonnie and Clyde. I broke him out of jail. Then she says, quote, if they say a man was killed, I killed him, not Warren. Just want you to know that Warren isn't making me do anything. I'm much, much worse than he is.
Oh, boy.
Yeah, this is like serial killer shit.
Yeah.
Mutilating sexual organs to a body that you've had in the woods. Oh, by the way, they had sex too. She had sex with him.
Oh, wow.
So,
yeah, that's how you get him to be shirt
without your pants on.
In an underground, in an undershirt and socks.
But this is like Ted Bundy shit.
Yeah.
Like, I'm going to take him to the woods, have sex with him, and then murder him and cut up his sexual organs. This is serial killer shit.
Aileen Wuornos style, yeah.
This is crazy. She was in college. What the fuck is going on? She's a college student who's doing, like, what? What is happening? This is absolutely fucking bonkers. So the sheriff said he opened it because at the time there were still escapees out there, and he wanted to know if maybe it contained something about the whereabouts of other escapees, which is a fine reason to read it. So they said it was known that 2 men were shot, several people had escaped, and they said the exact numbers and whereabouts of people were unknown. So they wanted to make sure nothing was in there. So Ruth Sumlin wrote another incriminating letter while she's in jail, addressed to her mother. She delivered it unsealed to a jail attendant. She had been told all of your correspondences while in the jail will be read. So she just gives this guy an open fucking letter with incriminating shit in it, which doesn't seem very smart. The letter was seized, obviously, because there you go. Jail officials can examine certain communications of a prisoner as a matter of security, and letters are all about that. My mother did that when I was a kid. She worked at Greenhaven Prison, where she went through the mail. Yeah. She worked in a dark little room going through their mail, and she said there was some.
Your mom read.
Oh boy, she's got the pictures and the fucking. Oh my God, she's read some disgusting.
Damn it.
Oh man, she's told some stories about that. So they said that for the same reason, a note she wrote on a paperback book and tried to slip it to Warren was also seized. Here's that book you were interested in, honey. They were like, let's go. Oh, look at this. Another jailbreak fucking plan. Great.
Is this a rock hammer? You bitch.
What is this, a file in here? Jesus. So Ruth had already participated in one jailbreak, and they said the officials treated her with extra security because of her participation and planning of a jailbreak.
Right.
So she decides, she says, I'll talk. I'll say what happened. She says she asks for a chance to talk to her husband first. She said, let me talk to Warren and I'll talk to you. Okay. And they said, all right, I guess. So she's allowed to talk to Warren, which is crazy that they would let 2 murder suspects get their story straight first. Right. Before that, fuck you. You're never going to talk to that person again. Unless it's through monitored letters.
Yeah,
that's how they handle it normally.
If you talk to anybody, we're going to listen to every word you say.
Unless it's your attorney. But definitely your husband, who's also up on the same charge.
Right.
You're not talking to him. Instead, they let them talk. She tells the cops that he told her to not say anything and get a lawyer. And she said, though, that she decided to talk anyway because she could not change her mind once she said, I'm not changing. I already told him I'd make a statement, so I can't go back on it, she said. So now I'm going to do it because I said I'd do it. She's got a real moral backbone on her, though. Let's say that. If I say I'm going to break.
Capable of this shit.
If I say I'm going to break you out of jail, I'm going to break you out of jail. That's it. I'm going to do it. She says she does what she says. You know
She's
what?
More word is bond than Busta Rhymes.
Yeah. I would hire her.
Yeah.
I would hire her for a job. Like, I feel like
what she says it's going to do.
Even if it's murder, she's going to do it. Fuck her, even if it's breaking someone out of jail. So she's also said, okay, before I make a statement, not only do I have to talk to my husband, but let me make a phone call before I make a statement as well. So she's allowed to call one of her neighbors. I don't know why she wanted to talk to a neighbor. I guess she thought they knew something about her situation.
Maybe
she told...
I'll be in here a while.
Grab my mail while I'm in here, please.
There's bad people out there. I'm well aware. I don't want anybody to know I'm not home. Grab the newspaper while you're at it.
You know how it goes. Turn the lights on, maybe set a timer. She told her neighbor that was going to confess as well. She's like, I'm just going to confess. I'm going to get it over with. So she made a statement on tape, which was obviously going to be used against her later on. The tape statement opens and closes with her being informed of her rights as well. Okay. So to make sure that's legit. She never once during the course of this said she wanted a lawyer either as well. She said she wanted to do it. So now she gives two different versions of what happened. But in the statement that she, to police at this time, she admitted planning to get the vehicle of J.Y.Cooper and use it in an escape. She explained that she and Cooper had been out before. She'd gone out with him before, and that she and Warren Sumlin had discussed getting his vehicle because they knew that Cooper liked her. Mm-hmm. So she said, I went out with Cooper that afternoon. That evening, I told him to drive to this back road, and we had sex. Yeah. She said, then when we were done, before he even put his pants on, I shot him in the head and took his car. Mm-hmm. Why?
What about the other part? Yeah.
She said that then she took the car, drove to the jail, did the whole jailbreak. That whole thing transpired. That all happened before. She's like, don't know anything about that. What else you're talking about there? I don't know. They said, well, when did you cut all that? And she's, I don't know what you mean. Yeah. No idea. That's crazy. No, that sounds nuts. They found tissue. They found tissue, like, tissues, right, containing both semen and blood around Cooper's body.
Really?
Okay, around it. I don't know, sprinkled around it, or
like a Kleenex.
Like they made a design, like a tissue, like he wiped his dick or so. I don't know what the fuck's going on, but they found that all around his body. So they said, okay, that backs up the fact that she said they had sex first and everything like that. So they're trying to corroborate all that kind of shit. She claimed that the sexual act occurred in the back seat, and that's what happened. And they said that later on she'll have a different story, though. We'll talk about that. So she said that Warren, this is wild. Later on, her story is amazing. Later on, she'll say, must have been a coincidence that all this shit happened. She's like, later on, she'll say, Warren killed him and cut his balls off. Yeah. Just happens to be the same place where I went and fucked him earlier out of total coincidence. She literally says that.
Sat there reminiscing.
So March 31st, 1978, Ruth is in court. Prosecutor opening statement here. It's a capital murder trial. And they said the state's going to prove that she did this while attempting to steal his car to free her husband from jail. This doesn't look good. This is all bad. He told the jury's 8 women and 4 men that prior to the jailbreak, this J.Y.Cooper was unknowingly being set up so his car could be used in the escape. He thought, I finally get to fuck this girl.
Yeah.
That's what he thought.
Wow.
Which he did, but then, that's a lot of consequences.
Yeah.
You rather get...
Yeah.
Gonorrhea than that. I mean, Jesus.
I think I'd rather have a lot of things.
A lot of things. So her defense attorney, Brian Thomason of Magnolia, said that he said to the jury that he'd not been able to figure out this case, even though he's been studying it for months. Well, you're a piss poor lawyer because I figured it out, and we're doing it on a goddamn podcast. And it hasn't been months, so and I don't know shit about the law. So there you go. He told the jury that Ruth was the only sibling. Gives her whole story. She's she broke through 14 kids and went to jail, and she's just hours short of her degree in psychology at Southern Arkansas University. And then this monster comes into her life and destroys it, which is true. But you got to have something in you to do what she did. So in court, they bring in several black and white photos, admitted, which show the Cooper's body, just the socks and the undershirt, and obviously these are very graphic pictures.
I can't imagine.
Not so much the gunshot wound, that's just a clean hole in the temple, but
it's that square that's missing between his legs.
Yeah. This is like fucking the West Memphis 3 type shit here. You know what I mean? Paradise Lost is what I was going for. No, it's fucking terrible. So they said that the photographs were too gruesome. They wanted them out of court, and the court ruled that they were evidence of the crime committed. They weren't they didn't set them up in a set or something. And
we didn't make these happen.
This is where we found them. Click. That's their crime scene photos.
We didn't hire the cast of American Horror Story to make this.
No, we're like,
this is real.
Pretty damning, right? Like, no, this is. Said they were relevant to who committed the crime, how it was committed, and where it was committed. The judge excluded several photographs, though, to avoid any, like, if one was a slightly different angle of the same terrible thing. Like, we don't need that one. You can show it from this angle.
You don't need the upskirt photo.
Yeah, you already have the one from the upskirt. You don't need one 3 inches lower.
Right.
Like, that's not going to... He said that the rule, because a lot of people ask about this, the rule on the admission of photographs of this nature, here is how it is. Quote, however inflammatory they may be, they are admissible in the discretion of the trial judge if they tend to shed light on any issue or are useful to enable a witness to better describe the objects portrayed or for the jury to better understand the testimony or to corroborate testimony. So if you have a medical examiner saying, this is what was done and this is where cuts happened, you have the picture at the same time going, see right here. It's helpful. So, and don't do it if you don't want that shit shown in court. Sorry, don't do crazy shit to dead bodies if you don't want the jury to see it and get sick.
The bummer is like you'll see the police photos and then you see like more detail of somebody testifying what it is. You know, that's the hard
even worse.
Part. Yeah. The cop's like, this is what happened, and look, his nuts are gone. And then the pathologist is like, here's an up close of the serrated edges of what happened. I don't want to see it. I saw it once.
No. If you're saying that a serrated edge knife did that, you got to show the jury that. Why? Otherwise, maybe they won't believe your guy. You know, that's your lady. That's what it is.
God damn it.
Ruth testifies on her own behalf here. She's got it. She's got no choice. She's got to come across as a real earnest, poor young lady that's just trying to make it her way here. So she completely repudiates everything she said before.
Yeah.
She's
everything I said before. If it doesn't exonerate me, I didn't say it.
That's it. She said that she had sexual intercourse with Cooper. Yeah. They had seen each other on other occasions, and then this time she had sex with him, but she didn't kill him.
Right.
Didn't kill him. Definitely didn't cut him up. I mean, if I didn't kill him, I didn't cut him. Shit. She said she was in the back seat of his car. She said he was in the back seat of his car, drunk, when they all got in the car after the jailbreak. So in her story,
he's there.
He's there. They fucked in the woods, and then the two of them piled in the car to go to the jail. Come on, now let's break my husband out of jail. Yeah. Now that you had sex with me, let's break my murderer husband out of jail. This will be good for you. This should go well. So that's her story, that he was drunk in the back seat, which we know isn't true because his body had 0 alcohol in it. So that right there we know is bullshit. So she said he was drunk in the back seat. They all got in the car. She said that later on, after all sorts of stuff happened, that's when they went to the woods and Warren killed J.Y.Cooper. And she said, well, I didn't see it, though, obviously. She said he took him down the road, then I heard a gunshot. So I just assumed, that somebody was shot somebody. She said that Warren killed Cooper because he knew Cooper had, quote, disrespected her. Mm-hmm. Obviously. So, like made her drop out of college after almost having a psychology degree and being one of the only 14 kids to, that sort of thing.
And disrespect her into ruining her life.
That's exactly right. So she also testifies here that it was Warren that killed Cooper.
Yeah.
Obviously, she said that she was under the influence of Warren Sumlin and that the escape was Warren's plan, not hers. She was just scared and going along with it. She denied mutilating the nutsack. Completely denied it. I did not do it. She said, you know what probably happened? Because, we drove down to make sure he was still dead when we drove by. I think we might have ran over his legs. So
those get trapped in the tread sometimes.
What happens is when you run over a body, the nutsack explodes.
Yeah, it's like a pimple. That's where the pressure goes.
And your perineum's gone too, obviously. Your taint and your nutsack explode, and then your balls get caught in the tread. That's how it works, really. And your dick gets sliced open, too. It's a clean cut. Yeah. You wouldn't think tires would cut so sharply, but they really do. There's some sharp edges in there.
When a balloon explodes, it's never like, it's pretty clean cuts on those pieces of ribbon, on pieces of rubber.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Perfect. There is evidence that a car did run over Cooper's legs, though. So... She ran his ass over.
More detail of what she did. Oh, wow.
Yeah, she's just given but she didn't run over his genitalia wasn't run over. Right. That was cut up. So the evidence obviously conflicted regarding the murder of Cooper and the emasculation issue. In her confession, she admitted shooting him, but always denied the nut cutting. Mm-hmm. In her testimony, though, obviously it's the opposite. She did nothing. She was covering up for Warren. She's, Warren killed Cooper and all this type of shit. Thomas and Jackie Moore, the other prisoners that they shot and robbed, they testify too.
Hey, fellas, was there anybody else in the car with you?
There you go. They both stated that they were with the Sumlins at all times until they left the car right before they were apprehended by police and more people got involved. And they said that no one else was in the car but the four of them. Definitely not J.Y.Cooper, obviously contradicting her testimony that he was drunk in the back seat. And they even said, like, maybe you wouldn't have noticed him in the back seat. They're like, you don't notice a grown man drunk in the back seat of a car that you're getting in? Yeah, you do.
Yeah, it's in the back of a Pontiac. It's right there.
So it's basically all logic and evidence and witnesses in the world against Ruth's word is the whole...
No.
That's the trial. So the jury's instructed by the trial judge, and they start their deliberations. Then they return, and the foreman asks the judge if the state had to prove both robbery and escape in the first degree to find her guilty of capital felony murder. So the judge told the jury one would be enough and then read the instructions. Back to them again. Here's the jury instructions. So then the foreman said, Your Honor, if the defendant was an unwilling accomplice to the actual shooting, would that change it in any way?
How cute is she?
She's got to be charming as fuck, man.
What is happening?
This isn't an Anna Delvey situation. She's got to be really charming.
What did you just ask me? I've told you so many times. Giving you so much information.
So much information. You're still curious? So then the judge says, quote, I'm not sure how whoever is asking the question is defining the word unwilling.
Yeah.
And again, I think that if you will read the second part of the instruction on capital murder, the one that's entitled second, in case you're too dumb to figure it out, because it sounds like you are, is what he said under his breath, I believe it would answer your question. I don't want to prejudice anybody, and that's why I'm not sure what you mean by unwilling. I may have one idea under the law of what unwilling might be, but you may be looking at it in a different sense. And in the course of and in the furtherance of that crime, either robbery or burglary or flight therefrom, that Ruth Delia Sumlin or a person acting with her in that case would be an accomplice. It does not say whether the accomplice is willing or unwilling. The law makes no distinction.
Yeah.
So if you're with somebody and not running in the opposite direction, they're assuming you're a willing party. As the law says, you're a willing party.
Yeah. If you're part of this, you're part of this.
Because you'll hear all the time, like if you watch the first 48, they'll be like, I was just in the car, man, and then he just started shooting him, and then we drove. Well, I didn't know he was going to shoot him. They're like, why didn't you jump out of the car? You came to a red light. Why didn't you get out?
Yeah.
Get out, go call the police, blah, blah, blah. Obviously, you're not going to do that, but why don't you get out? You could have got out here. You could have got out there. Why the fuck
This is also post that heiress getting kidnapped and robbing banks with
Patty Hearst.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
So they probably have a little bit of that. She's cute. She could have just been brainwashed into going along with this. Patty Hearst did it.
That's absolutely right. It's the 70s. People were very much into brainwashing at that time, and the Manson girls and all that shit. So the defense attorney then jumps into the mix here. Yeah. Your Honor, I object to that interpretation of the law very strenuously.
Of course I do, because it benefits my client.
And you will note my exceptions. I object to the way you, the judge, is interpreting the law. Even though your job as the judge is to be the judge of the interpretation of laws. That's
Literally,
exactly what your job is.
Yeah.
But, yeah. You just said, Your Honor, I think you do a shit job. I think you're terrible at your job, Your Honor.
I would ask you to do your job better.
Then he just starts singing Bad Company.
Yeah, I'd like you to know what I was born with.
I'm telling you, what the fuck, man? So the judge said, quote, the objection is so noted. Then he said, quote, that he caused the death of J.Y.Cooper under circumstances that manifesting an extreme indifference to the value of human life. There's further an instruction that tells you what an accomplice is. Then I think that should answer your questions. In other words, read all the shit I gave you and explain to you the first time.
There's a worksheet.
Look it over first. God damn it. If it doesn't, try again, then come back, and I'll try to go further with it. So if you still don't know after that, come on back and waste more of my time. So unwilling, by the way, is defined as withholding consent, loath, reluctant, adverse. So not wanting to, unwilling, obviously. One can reluctantly participate in a crime and still be guilty according to our law. Because you went along. The key is to criminal conduct in such case is this is knowledge, and it was defined, and accomplice as it was defined. The judge did all that, referred back to original instructions.
Hey, jury, have you read the note where she said, "I'm worse than him"?
I'm worse than him. I did it, Mom.
Get out and go talk it over.
And that's to Mom. That's not to
That's not to
a sheriff
lawyer.
in her face going, you know you did it, didn't you, sweetheart? Come on, little lady, tell me what you did.
I'm worse than him.
Yeah, no, not that. Hey, Mom, just to let you know, it wasn't him, it was me. That comes with a wink and lipstick fucking kissy mark on the envelope. Like, that's crazy. So the verdict comes in, and Ruth is found guilty of capital murder in this case here on March 31st, 1978. And the sentencing comes around, and they can do a variety of things with her. The death penalty's on the table.
Yeah. Oh, they
We're in
play
Arkansas.
with their murder. They don't fuck around. They have some fun with it.
They
make it their own.
You, ma'am, make it your own. Play with it a little bit. Dress it up. You, ma'am, bedazzle it.
Yeah.
May fuck off. Life without parole.
Is that right?
They banged her for life without. So,
I'm shocked that there wasn't death involved.
No, not. They don't like to.
Not the ladies.
Especially in the 70s in the South. They didn't even have a jail for the ladies. Right. You think they got a death row at this point for them?
That's probably why they didn't give her death.
Yeah, they're like, since we have no facilities, life in prison. So August of 78 is Warren's trial now. Mm-hmm. So for Warren, they're going to use Ruth to testify against Warren, saying that the complete opposite of what she said in her trial, which is amazing.
Well, they can.
That's wild. Yeah. So a witness in this trial, a guy named Bill Gentry, he testified that Sumlin had acted as a procurer of sex for his wife.
What?
So this state offered this testimony to show, because she's not on trial, Ruth, he's on trial. Right. But they used this testimony to show that Warren had control over his wife's actions, and the court agreed that it was relevant to the case to show that he had control over her. Because their whole thing is they're trying him for capital murder, and it's only her story that he actually did it is pretty shaky. So they need to show he's a bad guy and he's a murderer anyway, type of thing.
Right.
That's what they're trying to show here.
But the defense is going to try to say he didn't actually do it. It was just her, and we've convicted her of that.
Exactly. Right. Yeah. That's exactly it. Yeah. Her testimony in her trial was that he did everything. So they're using her trial testimony. The prosecution wants that, but then the defense is going to call her as a witness, and she's going to say the opposite now.
Boy, this is sticky.
This is fucking sticky, man. So I guess this guy wasn't apparently on the witness list, so they argued about that for a while. During the trial, the prosecuting attorney informed the court and Sumlin's counsel that he intended to call Bill Gentry, that's the guy we just talked about, and what the substance of Gentry's testimony would be. The court said they gave Sumlin's counsel until the next day to talk to Gentry about his testimony. He actually got a delay. Yeah. This is my cousin Vinny when they call the FBI guy to talk about the analysis of the fire, and he goes, I'd like a recess to go over some of this facts and blah, blah, blah. And he says, no, that's what happened now, except they gave him the recess to talk to him. They said there's no evidence at all that the prosecuting attorney knew of the witness's existence until he informed the court of himself. In view of that and the fact that someone's counsel was given an opportunity to talk to the witness, they let that stand.
Okay.
Now, Ruth testifies, okay? Complete opposite. She said, I killed him, I cut his dick up, I did it all.
Oh,
I killed him, I fucked him, I killed him, I stabbed him. All the bad shit is what I did.
Yeah.
That's what I did. Meanwhile,
me.
at her trial, she said, must have been a coincidence that he drove back to the same place we had fucked and then killed the guy that fucked me. But must have ran over his nutsack and had him surgically explode.
Right.
You know how that is. So,
Otherwise,
otherwise,
you didn't know that your dick has perforated edges, James. Your ball bag.
it comes right. That seam will just pop. I'm
It's
telling
like a
you,
postage stamp. Comes right out.
And I don't know if you know this, but over the course of your life, pressure builds up inside
Sure
your
does.
balls.
Yeah.
So once that seam pops, you'll find them 40, 50 yards away. I mean, they pop out like you wouldn't believe, boy. I mean, you can't find them.
That's why a swollen prostate is so dangerous.
Oh, it's dangerous, boy. You could blow out your scrotum. It'll come through your jeans. That's the problem. Your nut will come through your jeans and hurt somebody. Got to be real careful about that. She contended she lied at her trial to try to save herself when in reality it was all her all along. She shot Cooper following an argument after they had driven to a wooded area to have sexual relations.
Unbelievable.
I did it all. Let's see if the jury buys it.
I'd love to know.
I have a feeling that either way they don't buy it with verdict, but they might buy it with sentencing.
Yeah.
They say verdict, guilty of capital murder, sir. They're like, you're definitely involved in this. Then it comes up, here's the sentencing, and we have the jury can choose death, life without. There's a lot of options. They say, you, sir, may fuck off, death by electric chair.
Oh, my God. Boy, do we treat men different.
Yeah. Yeah, she is. Wow. I mean, but their theory is that they during this trial. This is the crazy thing. This is what I don't understand why he got the death penalty, because during this trial, their whole contention is he did all this stuff, not her, which is crazy. There's no time in the timeline for it to happen. He wasn't in the car with them.
The boys said he wasn't there.
None of that shit happened. Yeah. Both those guys said that. None of this shit happened. So
they're treating him, I think Arkansas is doing it because he's wanted for murder in California. The only reason that man would be murdered is to break him out of prison, and that makes it, I guess, scummier to them that in furtherance of getting him out, she did this for him.
Yeah, I guess so. And his
so I guess that
record,
makes it doubly worse.
I guess in mitigating, too, when you get a 22-year-old girl with no criminal record and you're 9 credits short of graduating from college and all this shit, and then you get scumbag who's been on parole since he was 16,
wanted for murder,
people, robs people, wanted for murder, you might go, you know what, he's big,
he might be the bigger dick.
Yeah, so I guess maybe that's the reason why, honestly.
It's got to be.
But the case is ridiculous, though, to say, like, the only evidence we're going to use is her testimony from her trial where she said he did it all. No, we'll forget all the other facts that exist.
If that's the case,
crazy.
then she should be let out if he did it all. You know what I mean?
That's what I mean. Who can't be both, but we've seen people with trials try to do this before. Well, if I did it, you couldn't have done it.
I don't disagree that he should probably be on trial for murder and be put to death for the awful. He has zero redeeming qualities.
That's what I mean.
But if he goes, she should go.
This is like Charles Manson trying to kill that one guy to get other people out of prison. So, because they'll think it's them now. If I write things, it's stupid.
One gets life, the other should get life. If one's getting death, they should both get death.
I feel like that too. I feel like it's really hard to parse at this point when you're talking about
them apart and decide
especially a married couple who plotted everything together. It's very difficult.
Right.
So, death by electrocution there. So she appeals. She does not argue that there wasn't substantial evidence to support her conviction. That's obviously a dumb argument. I mean, let's be honest here. The knife with his fucking dick blood in it was in her purse. Like, sorry,
I don't
dude.
look dumb when I talk to this judge.
I mean, Jesus, I don't want to sound like a total liar. So her arguments were mainly like procedural shit. Certain evidence was improperly admitted and procedural mistakes, prejudicing her right to a fair trial, and all that shit's important. First one, we'll go through very, very quickly here. Assignment of error in the in-custody statement of Ruth here. They said that she said it wasn't voluntary. They said that it was because she's on tape recording, making a voluntary statement, and they said, often a factor in this is the ability of a defendant to understand their rights, but they say that's not a factor with Ruth. She completed years of college toward a psychology degree. She's obviously intelligent enough to understand what you have the right to remain silent and you can have a lawyer means.
Despite her saying me and Warren. Go on.
despite her English and grammar and whatever the fuck, it doesn't matter. So, and she did go to school in Arkansas, in rural Arkansas.
Great
so
point.
we can't blame her. So there is no evidence here that she suffers from any physical or mental infirmity. She was advised of her rights by every law enforcement department that had custody of her. She's handcuffed to a chair for a good part of the 25th of November and was not physically abused. She admitted she was not threatened, but did complain an officer talked roughly to her once when she was on the phone, telling her to get off the phone. Yeah. Well, my fucking parents used to talk roughly to me if they wanted me off the phone. Sorry, you're in fucking jail for murder right now.
They're probably not going to treat you with the, hello, princess, can you please get off the phone?
Talk nicer isn't an option. Like, don't beat me is good, but I guess talking, you can say anything in as mean a voice as you want. That's not against the law.
They don't even call you by your name. They call you inmate.
Yeah, so she refused to talk to the authorities twice after whatever. Then she said she would. A great preponderance of the evidence reflects the officer ceased questioning when she asked for a lawyer. Okay. Now, the letter is a big deal. She's saying that the search of the purse was not authorized as incidental to her arrest, nor as a routine policy inventory. They said a search of an individual's personal effects is incidental to an arrest if it is conducted shortly thereafter at a jail. The knife and the billfold were properly seized, according to the authorities. They said the envelope is slightly different. Its contents and potential use as evidence, unlike the knife and billfold, were not readily visible. Okay. So you couldn't have opened up a drawer and saw it in there and went, oh, a murder. That's obviously relevant to a murder. You know what I mean?
Open a zipper or some shit.
It's an envelope. So, they had to open an envelope here. They said they were, it wasn't readily visible. The question is, for the appeal, is whether the search reasonable as required by the Fourth Amendment. Was the search reasonable as required by the Fourth Amendment? They said that it was not only reasonable and proper, but that the sheriff was fully justified in opening the letter. He might have been derelict in his duty if he had not, is what the appeals court said. This is the Supreme Court of Arkansas says this. Either as inventory, hours after the arrest, or as a search incident to the arrest, these items from her purse were properly seized and properly admitted as evidence. They didn't inventory shit because they're morons, but they did read the fucking letter that admits her guilt. So they said that she argues about the instructions too, like the jury instructions and shit like that. We won't argue about that. But her case is affirmed in the end. All so right. Affirmed for her. She is life without at this moment.
Goodbye.
Say it in. Now Warren appeals as well. He has several objections. Obviously. Yeah. First is that aggravating circumstances do not exist beyond a reasonable doubt and do not justify the sentence of death. The jury found 5 aggravating factors here. They found that he had committed a prior felony with an element involving violence or creating a substantial risk of death or serious injury to another. Mm-hmm. He's shooting people all over the place. Indiscriminately shooting. Give me your money. Okay. Pow. What the fuck? That's not part of the deal. In the commission of capital murder, he created a great risk of death to another person other than the victim. The murder was committed for the purpose of avoiding arrest or effecting an escape. The murder was committed for monetary gain, and the murder was committed to disrupt or hinder government function. Okay. Like, kind of all of those are true. So it's kind of rough here, they found. They said the wild runaway from jail here that someone participated in can't be isolated into different instances, as he argues. The theft of the vehicle, the jail escape, and the events thereafter were all part of one plan.
Yes.
All of this is one ball of wax. It's not compartmentalized into separate things here. They said if he were indeed an accomplice to the murder of Cooper, the jury could have found that other people were threatened with death or serious injury. For example, the jailer was forced at gunpoint to empty the cells.
Right.
That's part of it, too. That's an aggravator. The evidence the murder was committed for monetary gain also was because his car and wallet were stolen. Mm-hmm. There you go. The wallet contained $35. It's possible the jury might not have been justified in finding that the murder was committed both to effect an escape and to disrupt or hinder a government function, because they seem to be redundant findings in this particular thing. Okay. So they say that his counsel argues that through comparative review, the death sentence should be reduced to life in prison without parole because his co-defendant, or not a co-defendant, but his murder partner here, that's what she got. So why should he get more, is what he's saying. Like, what the fuck?
Whoever gets the best one, we both want
it. Yeah, well, he's even talking about other cases. He said, we've done this in this case. In this case, it would also be appropriate to compare the sentence of Ruth Sumlin received with the sentence imposed on Warren Sumlin, because both were charged with convicted of the same crime. We compare the death sentence in this case to all the others that have been posed and reviewed since this one case that was precedent back in the day here. We also consider the fact that error may have been committed during the sentencing phase. Using this criteria, we conclude the death penalty in this case ought to be reduced to life without parole.
Okay.
So they do that. They say during Ruth's testimony, the state attempted to impeach her by using testimony from her trial, and some testimony included conversations between Ruth and Sumlin. So they're trying to say, Warren's trying to say that they had privilege, husband-wife privilege, and that anything overheard between them can't be put in to court.
Because they're husband and wife.
That's what he's saying here. He says that, for example, the state quoted some of Ruth Sumlin's prior testimony in which she said she was supposed to get J.Y. Cooper's car in any way that she could. This testimony, no doubt, could have been considered by the jury in determining whether, who was an accomplice or whatever. However, we cannot say this conversation was confidential since a witness testified to overhearing it.
Yeah.
It's one of those things where you have a reasonable expectation of privacy in your home with your shades down. Right. You don't have a reasonable expectation of privacy on a street corner.
Right.
So if someone, that's what I'm saying. Like, if you have your pants down in your house and someone takes a picture of you, that's invading your privacy.
Yeah, what the fuck, man?
If you're in your front lawn with your dick out and they take a picture of you, you have no reasonable expectation of privacy there. You're in public. So that's a law, like literally with conversations all the time. So, they said certainly a wife can be called as a witness against her husband and be required to testify concerning what she heard, saw, and observed in relation to a criminal charge. They said it was they so interpreted the husband-wife privilege, excluding only confidential conversations about legal shit. So that's a lot of people have asked us about that. Can you make a wife testify against a husband, vice versa? So, they said we cannot say that any of Ruth Sumlin's testimony breached the confidential privilege. He also argues insufficient evidence to sustain a conviction even, not just the sentence. He said the facts of the case. If there was substantial evidence that Sumlin was an accomplice to the murder of Cooper, then the judgment of the jury must stand. It is irrelevant that Warren Sumlin did not pull the trigger, Jimmy.
Yeah.
If he aided, solicited, or encouraged Ruth Sumlin in committing the murder. So, doesn't fucking matter. There's also some bullshit about jurors that they were objecting to. Either way, commuted to life without parole.
I'm fine with it.
So no more death sentence. Yeah, I don't care about that. It's fine with that. So they keep going. Once he gets that, he kind of cuts the appeals out. There really isn't
he's
much.
Still got to face murder in California, right?
No, apparently they can hold that, though, in case he ever did get out here, then they can take him there and charge him. I think that's what they're doing, kind of holding it over his head so it's not time served in their state. So that kind of goes on. And then finally, August of 1999, Warren has lung cancer.
Oh.
And has been hospitalized for a little while, and he dies in the Correctional Department's diagnostic unit in Pine Bluff in 1999. Wow. So that's
getting diagnosed.
He's like 63 or something.
That's
so pretty young.
Bummer.
That sucks, man. That's tough. So 2008, Ruth has her clemency appeal.
Okay.
She's going for clemency now. Appeals are exhausted.
Mind.
Now it's just straight clemency.
Yeah.
She wrote to the clemency board, and what this is you go to the board votes. If the board votes you down, then you don't get shit. Yeah. If the board votes to give you clemency, then your case goes to the governor's desk, right. And that's their decision. So this is what she wrote to the clemency board, okay. And I quote, "I would like to live my remaining years free if possible." She said, "I am no threat to society. I am a changed person and can be a great asset outside. I would like to help remaining ill family members."
Okay.
So she is housed at the McPherson Unit for Women in Newport at this point in time. Both the prosecutor and the Columbia County Sheriff's Office both told the board they oppose clemency for her.
Yeah.
Okay. Now, they say she's convicted of capital murder, blah, blah, blah. So the Arkansas Board of Parole votes 3-1 to recommend that her sentence is commuted.
Wow.
They recommend to commute her sentence.
Yeah.
Gotta be charming, I'm telling you.
She's gotta be adorable.
They said to commute her sentence to 36 years in prison. That's what they would commute her, which would make her eligible for parole now.
Right. Yeah.
She can get out. So it finally goes to the governor's office, Halloween night 2008. I assume during the day. I'm sure he's not working at night. But Governor Mike Beebe, Don's brother, I'm sure, rejected the clemency request. Nope, don't think so here. Rejected her clemency request without comment even. In a statement, he said he intended to grant 10 pardons and 27 clemency requests, but he also denied a whole shitload, like 42 of them or whatever. So
took his dick off. Nope.
She's got one more chance, Jimmy.
Yeah.
October 19th, 2021.
Oh,
so this fucking just happened, man. She has a request for commutation again of her life sentence of capital murder. She's before the Arkansas Parole Board this time, and they declare her request, quote, without merit.
No, thank you.
There we go. And she is at this point, Ruth is both the oldest and longest serving Columbia County female inmate in state custody.
Right.
She is both of those things. Yeah. She's been in jail for 45 years.
That's amazing.
And yeah, I can't believe there's not an older one in there. But like we said, they didn't even have a jail before that. What are we talking about?
They weren't going to jail until then.
No, she's the first one we put in, and we kept her. We're hanging on to her.
Yeah, she's like an antique at this point.
We're going to go ahead and hang on to her. We just gotten used to having her around, you know.
We got the very first Arkansas plow out in the yard. We got the very first Arkansas
plow. We got this plow's impressed. Come on outside. No, come on, y'all. Bring your cameras. We're going to show you this plow now. You're going to be impressed by it.
We got old barbecue grills. We got all kind of shit. And we got the very first female inmate. It's going to be a sad day when she dies.
I'll tell you what. We're going to keep her till the end, though. I'll tell you what.
We're going to put her out with the plow when it's all over.
We're going to stuff her and put her on top of it like a scarecrow, I think. You know, just we got used to having her around. You know what I'm saying? Just used to having her around these parts. Now that, everybody, is Magnolia, Arkansas.
What a story.
That's a fucking crazy story.
Unbelievable.
Like, some of the stories have more like kind of backstory and the people's. None of that matters. Think about the high noise here. The high, as Hunter Thompson said, the high white noise. Think about that, which is just the crazy shit that's going on in this. The high points are insane. That's wow. How many women have we had that have like sexually eviscerated somebody like that? That's so rare in women. It's not even funny.
There's very few that you got no. We got it right. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's like there's no point where you just go, I don't know.
He's terrible.
Oh yeah.
And I want to feel for her, but what she did was horrible.
Yeah.
Like, that's what you did is serial killer shit.
Did she do it to impress him that she's bad too?
I don't know. Or I don't know if she was so disgusted that she had to fuck him that she was like, take that, motherfucker.
Yeah.
But that would make sense, but it's not. She did say that the sex was like, he didn't rape her. It wasn't like he forced. She she came to him and said, hey, let's go in the woods.
Yeah.
So either way, she didn't like it, or maybe she did that because she was mad. Who knows? I mean, there's a lot of we're trying to figure this out. Like, there's a direct correlation in this.
Who cares?
Where
about
when Ted Bundy does it, it has nothing to do with what they did or with how, it's not something that happened last week. It's whatever's in their fucking brain.
Yeah.
We have to look at her the same way, I think that it's just hard. Got it right. Got it right. So there you go, everybody. If you enjoyed that story, definitely get on whatever app you're listening on. Get on there and find if you can review and give us 5 stars, please and thank you. It does help drive us up the charts. Thank you for doing that. Also, you can follow us on social media. We are at Murder Small on Twitter, at Small Town Pod on Facebook, and at Small Town Murder on Instagram.
There you go.
Catch up on all the stuff here. If you have cases that you'd like us to look at, small town murder cases that you think qualify, send them to us. It is research@shutupandgivememurder.com is where you can do that. And as well as that, if you want to go to shutupandgivememurder.com, you're going to find all sorts of good stuff there. All your merchandise, all your everything like that. Live show tickets.
Oh, boy.
Most of all. Oh, man. April 8th, we're in Pittsburgh.
We're coming
at
down
what is it, the
Turnpike.
Munhall